Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. Even from the beginning, when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree.
And it's
sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person. But I'm not going to pretend I don't notice how different they are.
Yeah.
How mean they've become.
Bill Maher and Cheryl Hines joined forces to call out the Democratic Party, and the result was unexpectedly compelling. Two once loyal Democrats broke down how the party has shifted in recent years, especially as Donald Trump's momentum continues to grow. They revealed why their trust in a party they once admired has faded, and how the Democrats they supported for years now feel almost unrecognizable.
Again, one good thing about Trump, he really, really does not like war.
Which I love that about him.
I kind of do, because I don't want war either, and most of them are unnecessary.
Agreed.
I mean, he took a long time when I had that dinner with him talking about the pictures he sees coming from Ukraine, the stuff that doesn't get out on the news. It's like raw footage of bodies in the field.
Yes.
And you could tell it really moved him.
He's
like, I do not want to see this, and I'm the kind of guy who can fix this.
It's genuinely surprising to hear Cheryl Hines and Bill Maher openly admit there's actually something they respect about Donald Trump. Coming from two people who symbolized aggressive anti-Trump commentary, particularly Maher, it's a dramatic shift. For years, his monologues were known for relentless, razor-sharp shots at Trump and the GOP. But this newer, more reflective version of Maher has flipped the old script, drawing in unexpected supporters while confusing many of his longtime fans. Even within his own political camp, people are bewildered. Some insist Maher is simply fed up with the Democrats' mixed messaging, while others believe he softened after that much-talked-about dinner with Trump. Whatever the reason, the shift is undeniable, and it's making more noise than all his previous predictable playbook-style critiques ever did.
You know, he's never not going to be Trump. So, of course, he's like, I saw 9... You know, okay, even if it's half that, it's still good that we're solving them and not starting them.
That's the thing that I find that I really like about President Trump when he talks about Ukraine. And he talks about Ukraine and Russia, and he will say they're losing people on both sides.
Donald Trump has repeatedly emphasized that he has no intention of dragging the U.S. into more endless foreign wars, and he's been outspoken about wanting to end the conflict in Ukraine. Whether people agree with his approach or not, his stance is changing the conversation. Trump insists the war must be resolved quickly, and Maher noted that this position stands in clear contrast to President Biden's. That contrast signals a major shift in momentum. Regardless of how anyone feels about Trump personally, it mirrors the outcome Biden spent years trying to achieve, but ultimately couldn't. While Biden pushed for diplomatic resolutions that never fully materialized, Trump's unconventional pressure strategies seem to have generated movement, or at least forced the situation in a new direction. For Trump, it's shaping up to be a significant political win with global implications.
What somebody was just asking me about when I met him, what surprised me the most, and I said I was surprised that he really likes to listen to people. He's very curious in what you have to say.
They hated when I said that. Again, because I'm just telling you what happened. What, should I lie?
I guess so. I guess
right.
That's
He
what
kicked me in the balls under the table, and then
I knew he would.
He threw the spaghetti against the wall when I raised the subject of tariffs. No. No.
You can already picture many Democrats fuming over Bill Maher's latest comments about Trump. For years, everyone assumed Maher would stick to the script and continue unleashing nonstop criticism. But the moment he showed even mild admiration or simply acknowledged that Trump can be charming or likable, everything changed. Cheryl Hines has witnessed that side of Trump herself, which only reinforces what many refuse to admit. People expected Maher to walk away from meeting Trump armed with harsher jokes, renewed outrage, and sharper attacks. Instead, he returned with nuance, and that alone sent many of his own followers into meltdown. What this exposes is the mindset of certain people. They don't dislike Trump because of personal experience. They dislike him because they were told to, and Maher just shattered that narrative.
Yeah, he listened.
Yeah, I think he actually wants more people around him for a stimulating conversation.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at, and mentioned it again, they hated me for it, that as opposed to so many important people I've met who, when you talk to them, you don't feel like they're really listening. They're kind of like, you know what I mean? And then when they answer you, it doesn't quite track, you know?
You're just waiting for their turn to talk.
It's both hilarious and revealing. Politicians walk into interviews loaded with memorized talking points, polished lines, and rehearsed narratives so obvious you can almost see the cue cards flipping in their minds. They speak as if reading from an invisible script hovering above the camera. Even when an interviewer throws an unexpected question or pushes for authenticity, most politicians refuse to budge. They cling to their pre-written answers with robotic commitment, repeating the same points even when their responses no longer match the question. It creates awkward, almost embarrassing moments where you can see the disconnect happening right in front of you.
Yes, or they're just on a different level. I mean, these are show people too. I've had that. But I didn't get that with him at all.
No.
I got a guy who looked in my eyes, was listening to what I said, waited until I finished, even when it was contradictory, when it was he never got blustery or mad about it. You know, he said some things that I don't agree with and some things that I think are just, you know, plainly not right, like, you know, third term. Yeah, I think you could do it. I'm having people look into it. No, you can't do it. and you can have people look into it from now until the end of time. It's like 12 words in the Constitution. You can't do it.
This also explains why Kamala Harris so often delivered vague, overly broad answers instead of clear, specific ones. Even when asked a direct question, she drifted into those now famous word salads, long, polished-sounding sentences that ultimately say nothing. Watching her interviews, it often seemed like she wasn't truly responding to the question at all. Instead, she stuck to whatever talking points she rehearsed, even if they didn't fit the discussion. That habit of falling back on safe, scripted lines created a noticeable distance, like she was waiting for a simpler question so she could return to her comfort zone. When politicians prioritize the script over real communication, it shows. Harris's interviews became a perfect example of how over-reliance on rehearsal can leave viewers confused, unconvinced, and disconnected.
But he didn't get mad.
Right.
And then I also made the point that, you know, I went home that night and I was getting into bed in 60 Minutes. I taped it, and there he is on 60 Minutes, and he's like ranting and raving. I'm like, who's this guy? This is not the guy I met.
Yeah.
And, so I'm just the reporter here. I'm just telling you.
This was my experience.
These aren't neutral observers or casual critics. These are lifelong, deeply committed Democrats who suddenly have something positive to say about Donald Trump. And that alone is enough to send shockwaves through parts of the left. For years, the unspoken rule has been simple. Democrats must be united in their disdain for Trump. No nuance, no exceptions, no independent thinking allowed. So when voices like Bill Maher and Cheryl Hines step outside that rigid script and admit that Trump has redeeming qualities or moments worth acknowledging, it sparks outrage among some Democrats and left-leaning media circles. It disrupts a narrative they've spent years reinforcing. They don't want pundits, celebrities, or regular voters expressing anything but hostility when Trump's name is mentioned. The idea that a loyal Democrat could appreciate even one thing about him feels like betrayal. And that's what makes this moment so revealing. It shows how rigid and emotionally intense expectations within the left have become.
Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. They weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree. That's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person.
For years, Republicans were portrayed as the harsh, unforgiving side of American politics. But now, Bill Maher and Cheryl Hines are flipping that idea by drawing from their own experiences. More and more, it's becoming clear that the Democratic Party can be just as ruthless, sometimes even more, especially toward anyone who steps outside the approved narrative. The moment someone expresses a thought slightly outside the boundaries, the backlash begins. They don't just critique you, they attack you, label you, and often try to cancel you. The message is obvious. Follow the script completely or face consequences. Maher and Hines calling this out is important because it highlights something many people have sensed for years but were afraid to say. The Democrats aren't always the compassionate, tolerant side they claim to be. They can be extremely punitive.
Democrats have been having a lot of donor retreats lately where liberal strategists hold ideathons, where they try to figure out why they keep losing elections. You know, apart from using words like ideathon. And now one idea that's getting a lot of attention is the Dems need to find their Joe Rogan, a liberal Joe Rogan, because that's why Kamala lost. Republicans have a podcast.
That's true, but Democrats don't just need their version of Joe Rogan. They desperately need their version of Donald Trump. Someone genuine, brutally honest, unfiltered, and unafraid to challenge the party's growing ideological machinery. Someone willing to push back against the party's slide toward hard-left policies without hesitation. What the Democrats are missing right now is a leader with real backbone. Someone who can take criticism, accept their flaws, and resist pressure to conform to every new trend. They need voices who aren't afraid of social media mobs, who won't hide behind rehearsed talking points, and who build trust through authenticity. Maher's argument is simple. The party doesn't just need new spokespeople. It needs bold, grounded individuals who aren't afraid to challenge their own side when needed. Only then can the party begin rebuilding credibility.
Or you could consider this. Instead of conjuring up a new Joe Rogan, ask yourself why you lost the old one. Because he used to be on your side. He smokes pot on the air. I don't think he's that much of a far-right ideologue. I don't think his mind is completely inflexible. His neck, yes. But not his mind. And he's expressed unease with some things Trump is doing, as has a certain disgruntled former employee named Elon Musk, who, like Joe, is another guy who 5 years ago was thought of as a liberal, but got driven into the other camp by bad attitudes and bad ideas.
This is the same flawed thinking pushing people like Cheryl Hines and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. away from the Democratic Party. Increasingly, Democrats say they feel distant from the party's direction, not because of one issue, but because the overall agenda, messaging, and ideology no longer make sense. Many feel the party has drifted away from reality, choosing ideological purity over practical solutions and punishing anyone who questions the narrative. Even as more supporters walk away, the party seems uninterested in self-reflection or course correction. Whether due to stubbornness or fear of losing control, the resistance to change leaves longtime voters frustrated and disappointed. This refusal to evolve is exactly what pushes intelligent, thoughtful voices out, and it's a warning sign. If the party doesn't adapt, more supporters will inevitably look for alternatives.